One thing that I did notice is last week you said that you had 3 more stories and you only shared like 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
you must have some residual stories left over. Okay,
Yeah, I do.
tell me.
Well, I feel so bad because all my stories are about Dave. All we do is talk about Dave
I don't think that that's a problem.
because
And I don't think that we talk about him that much, to be honest.
I think all my stories center around Dave or Carmen.
Well,
Carmen
they're
loves it.
both interesting characters.
Yeah. Um, so one funny Dave story. So he told me that he wants to get a gun.
Okay,
And he's kind of been saying that since we watched The Last of Us
sure.
because he's a little concerned with like a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Did you see that interview with Aubrey Plaza where she's interviewing with Conan O'Brien, which is P.S.
hear
Hear
me
me
out.
out.
Ugh, no.
Hear me out on Conan O'Brien. Oh my God.
When he was younger, maybe.
I think he just gets more handsome the older that he
Okay.
gets. I
Hmm.
honestly he just has to talk at me and I
Yeah.
just like get melty. Oh my God. But he's interviewing Aubrey Plaza and he can't keep a straight face when he interviews her.
Yeah.
All of the interviews between the two of them is like him laughing because she's
Yeah.
so funny. And he's like, "So are you dating someone?" And she's like, "Yeah, I have this like new boyfriend." And she was like, "I really like him. I got him some helicopter flying lessons."
Oh, okay.
And Conan was like, "Oh, like, because he's interested." And she said, "No, because if the world comes to an end, I need to be with somebody who's going to know how to fly a helicopter." And
Yeah.
Conan was like, why wouldn't you just learn how to fly the helicopter? And she was like, "Well, because I'm in charge of weapons and ammo." So funny.
I can picture her. I need to look this up now because I
Oh,
love
it's
her.
so funny. I am in love with Aubrey
Yeah.
Plaza. Aubrey Plaza, call me. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No,
So
but
Dave is gonna get a gun for
for the zombie apocalypse. Yes, zombie
so
apocalypse.
you're in charge of helicopter lessons.
Apparently. Apparently. I'll have to let her know that.
One of us has got to do it because
I
come the
know.
apocalypse, I'm coming with you and Dave. So
With Dave's gun.
yeah, me and my kids are gonna show up at your door carrying Yoshi.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
It's a great plan.
nothing can go wrong.
No. But I was like, seriously, a gun, really? And he's like, relax. It's not like I want to fuck you with it.
Oh my
Because I have to
God.
tell him. Anytime we
Yeah.
come across like a crazy scene, like I told him about this book.
I am obsessed with it for Dave.
Yeah.
He is clearly having the time of his life.
Yeah.
And I love that for him.
I know.
Yeah, I love that. Great story.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
There was another funny thing, and I actually wanted to tell this story to you
Mhm.
to see how you think it would go for you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen on social media or anything, there's those like street interviewers.
Mhm.
And this was a while ago that this one was like trending. It's like they ask questions about your partner.
Okay.
And it was like without looking, what color are your partner's eyes? And
Okay.
obviously they're asking the men.
Yeah.
Because the women all know. And so it's like, feeling cocky.
Mhm.
Like, I want to do this. But
Mhm.
Dave's already going to know. He knows everything about me. He's so obsessed with me. So I asked him, and he so confidently, he's like, they're Hazel. Like, are
You
you
guys have been together for a long
joking?
time.
I know. And I'm like, no, like they're blue.
Sir, have you been listening to this podcast?
Yeah.
We literally talk about the fact that Nicole's got
Big
blue eyes.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they look pretty gray to me.
They do have a little bit of gray in them.
Grace, which I could see for a colorblind person.
Yeah.
Maybe they look gray.
Yeah.
Grace, not Hazel.
Sure.
He's like, well, what color is Hazel?
It's like greenish
Basic,
brown.
yeah, it's like basically brown. So then I was like, I wondered, would your husband know what color your eyes are?
Would my husband know?
Yeah.
Yes, he would know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about it because I asked him once. So it was something around these books.
Yeah.
And I asked him, so you just like look at me every day with green eyes? And he was like, yeah.
Because you have such beautiful green eyes that everybody wants.
Well, no, I think it's one of those things where I have a little bit of a prejudice against blue eyes.
No.
And I typically will not make friends with people who have blue eyes. Most of the people that I surround myself with have brown eyes. Almost everybody in my family has brown eyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My husband has brown eyes. My son has deeply brown eyes. My
Yeah.
daughter's eyes are actually, in fact, hazel. And like, even thinking back on all my friendships, most of my friends have had brown eyes.
Yeah.
I don't make it a point to befriend people who have blue eyes because I just don't trust them.
One day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like, Nicole's got to go. I can't do it.
There is that possibility. No, I think it's odd. It's so weird to me to think that he would wake up every day and look at me and he'd be looking at green eyes. I just can't make it make sense in my brain. So I ask him about it all the time, and he's like, "Yep." He's so annoyed by it.
Your eyes are more like more towards blue. They're not like your sweatshirt green.
They're not like Everest
Yeah.
green. I would say that my eyes are almost bordering. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say my eyes are green.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're pretty green.
They look very different than mine.
But
Yeah.
definitely.
You're like, thank God.
Thank God. I don't want anybody to think my eyes are gonna fall out of my head. So yeah, my husband would know for sure.
Love that for you.
Should I check it when I get
I
home?
think you need to because I was so confident.
I'm gonna text him.
Dave stares at me. No, you have to ask him in person because he can't check. He can't check photos.
Oh, sure. What if
You
I
have to
call
ask him in person. You could call him.
Okay. Okay, let me call him.
On the edge of my seat.
Watch him not answer.
I know.
He's probably doing something important.
Taking care of your children.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, what's up, baby?
Hey, so I'm recording right now and you're on speakerphone. I have to ask you a really important question. What color are my eyes?
They're like greenish, like yeah. They're like I think they're hazel, but you say they're not hazel.
Oh my God.
We literally just got done having a conversation because Nicole asked Dave if he would know what color her eyes are, and he got it wrong. And she asked if I thought that you would, and I said, yeah, absolutely. And then she told me that my eyes are not green.
Yeah, that's how you keep telling me they're green, but I don't know, whatever. I can go with the flow.
It's better than Dave's guess.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I appreciate you. Thank you for proving me right.
No problem, babe. I love you.
I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Well, you win.
He was like, I was doing laundry. Thanks for interrupting me.
Yeah. But he just loves you so much.
I know that I've brainwashed him into telling me that my eyes are green.
That's so funny. And I love that both of our husbands think we have hazel eyes.
I know. That is interesting.
We do not.
No, I don't think that we do.
No.
I can see what you're saying, that my eyes are not, they're not like army green.
Yeah.
For sure.
They're definitely more green than blue.
Yeah.
I always wanted purple eyes.
You would be a fairy.
Yeah.
With purple eyes.
I know.
Okay, I do have something to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm in my Twilight shitposting groups.
Yes.
Okay. And there is a theory apparently that I have never heard, but apparently is like a long-standing theory that Edward and the Cullens are not in fact vampires, but they are in fact fairies.
What?
Masquerading as vampires. Yeah, because they can go out in the sun. They're super
Oh, yeah, the glittery.
They're super like smart and fast and all
the vampires then fairies or just the Cullens?
I think just in like their universe.
They're not vampires, they're fairies.
They're not vampires, they're fairies.
Interesting.
I know. I thought that was an interesting theory. The only thing that kicked me off the theory was like, okay, so if they bite somebody and then that person turns into a vampire.
Yeah.
Fairies, I'm not aware, can do that.
No, I don't think they can.
But it was a very interesting theory.
I always love a good theory. I wonder what it's like to be an author because I always see theories about like Sarah J. Maas, that universe.
Oh my God. The theories are getting so fucking unhinged recently.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one that Tamlin is not in fact Tamlin, that Tamlin switched because Tamlin can shapeshift and he can make other people shapeshift.
What?
Yes. Remember how he shapeshifted his guard into a wolf to set another order? So the theory right now, because the last time that anybody's checked on Tamlin, he has not left his beast form. So the theory right now is that he turned Lucian into the beast and turned himself into Lucian and has been on the other. Yes.
That's crazy.
That is an excellent fucking theory.
It really is. And then as an author, when people read this stuff into it, would you be like, okay, that's actually a really good idea? Or would you be like, you guys,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I would have to create some space, I think, from my fandom.
I do really like that theory, though.
I do too. Yeah. Do you think that he deserves a story arc?
I'm so conflicted because, like, kind of no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, spoiler, but he helped kill Lisa's family.
Yeah.
He,
There's
under
another
the
theory.
mountain,
There's another theory about that too, though.
my God, we
Yeah.
could have a whole,
We
we could
could.
have a whole podcast.
Yeah, we could.
But under the mountain, he was so not serious. Like Lucian and Reese were actively trying to help Feyre, and he was just like so fucking horny or ignoring her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I tell you that is the only, all of the other shit, the overprotectiveness,
Yeah.
all of the other shit I can get over.
Yeah.
The fact that he had a moment alone with her and chose to use it to
make out with
try to have
her.
sex with her
Yes.
is something that I will never.
No.
And I am not sympathetic to
No.
him in that moment.
No.
And yeah, I'm so fucking ready for her to come out with her next book because I really want to know if Asriel and Bryce are mates.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a theory I haven't seen.
Yeah. I got that vibe when I read the book. The first, like when I read Crescent City,
Yeah.
their energy was very different than her and Hunt's energy. And I just think like
interesting. I do like that because I don't know.
I don't like that Hunt betrayed her, and I like love her for being a forgiving queen, but I am not, and I don't forgive him for betraying her. So he's fucking out as far as I'm concerned. And I would
don't
love
blame you.
No, and I would love, and it wouldn't be the first time that she did that to us.
And she did say, because she says that there will be a big betrayal in this next book.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited.
Me too.
All right, well, let's talk about this fucking book.
I was devastated when you texted me that you couldn't get into it because I loved this book.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite read of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I love this book though, and I thought it'd be one that you would like.
I had a brief moment of enjoyment. We'll get to it. And then I immediately went back to being bored.
Yeah.
So we're just going to have to let.
It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting Haunting Adeline dark because I had heard that she fucks a knife.
Yeah.
And I loved Haunting Adeline.
Yep.
It wasn't that dark, but this one was entertaining. It was funnier.
Sure.
But
yeah.
You didn't think so.
I read about 300 pages of this book and literally nothing happens except for he spies on her and she goes to work and he spies on her and she goes to work. And then the last 150 pages, everything that could happen happens.
Yeah.
Believe me when I say I love a little bit of delayed gratification. This just, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody that's listening because I know that I'm going to get eaten alive by people who are fans of this book. But yeah. So
if you would have read A Court of Thorns and Roses before the other books were out, would you have kept going?
What do you mean?
Because I feel like you felt that same way about, I remember you telling me like it's a really slow start. You just have to you have to power through the first one. Because I think that's kind of the similar vibes that you got. I'm getting here from you.
Sure.
That it was super boring and then a bunch of shit happens and then the book ends. Like, is it worth it?
Sure. This book for me did not have the payoff.
Sure.
For the wait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. I don't know. I'm Amanda.
I'm Nicole.
We are book sluts. We recap and review study books. Let us help you decide if this book should stay on your TBR or if you would like to fight with us on social media about my opinions about it. Just feel free to join us over there for that. What book are we reading today?
We are reading Lights Out by Navessa Allen.
And there are substantial content warnings for this book that I almost did not feel were quite this necessary, but
Yeah.
Lights Out is a dark stalker rom-com with heavy themes. Reader discretion is advised, as this book contains sexually explicit discussion and scenes, including anal play, alcohol consumption, mention of off-page rape, child abuse, remembered, medical content, blood and gore, and hospital setting, discussion of mental health, mention of serial killers and their crimes, limited description of a mass shooting, stalking, invasion of privacy, home invasion, hidden cameras, hacking, theft, unintentional cannibalism, remembered, death, car accident, remembered, description of a violent death, remembered, death of a parent, breath play, knife play, gun play, fear play, primal play, mask play, consensual dubious consent.
Definitely too much.
I feel like they were just a little overkill. The description of this as being a rom-com is very apt.
Yeah.
This
Agree.
absolutely reads like a rom-com. And I really enjoyed the only thing that I really liked about these two was the banter, but even that for me was like, how did we get here so quickly?
Yeah.
So it's fine. I am excited to talk about it
I'm
with you.
super excited to talk about it.
Yeah. We open with Allie as she winds up the end of her shift as a nurse in a trauma ward at the hospital. She is working to comfort a new mother after a particularly rough shift. She offers to drive the woman home and then heads home to her own home where she lives alone with her cat. She gets home, she showers, and she hops on social media to participate in her favorite pastime, which is scrolling thirst trap videos of men in masks. And
Love that for her. I can relate.
yeah. Do you want to give a physical description of Allie?
Yeah. Allie is tall. She's muscular, toned. She has a pointed chin, long brown hair, full lips. She's Italian. She describes herself as not being thin or small.
She's 5'8". She describes herself as being muscular and broad. I have a problem with her physical description.
Yeah.
So, for context, we get the physical description from our main male character's point of view. He is the initial person to describe it.
Yeah.
He describes her as having a strong Italian nose. What the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean?
I literally had to I had to stop reading my book,
Yeah.
Google it. Google had no idea.
No.
Google gave me a million different options
Yeah.
for what an Italian nose was. Then I got a text message. I think it was a TikTok from somebody, got stuck on TikTok. 3 hours later, I'm organizing my hall closet. I have not gone back to reading my book,
Mhm.
all because I had to Google what an Italian nose is.
Yeah.
And I feel very confident that there is an entire population of people in New York and maybe New Jersey that are very aware of what an Italian nose is. But it's such a niche way to
Yes.
describe a nose, and it is so tedious that it came from him because I have never in my life met a man who was like, you know what really did it for me was her schnoz.
Yeah.
Like it's such an obscure, and I get it. I looked up the author because I was like, the author must have an Italian nose. Like she's got to be describing herself. And I get a general idea of like what it looks like. But next time, maybe just do strong, straight,
Yeah.
well-defined.
But I had that same, I feel like I had that same exact reaction. Maybe not because I did know what it meant. But in Haunting Adeline, when he describes her hair as cinnamon
That is
colored,
exactly in my mind. When I read that, I was like, this is like the time that he described her as having cinnamon hair.
men don't.
Men don't do that. It was not for me. I really appreciated that she opted for like a different appearance
Yes,
than what
not the
typically
petite.
Yes, I really, really appreciated and enjoyed that. But the Italian nose thing was just such a
You're so far taken out.
I really was.
Yeah.
It was like it just wasn't for me. So
I
we're gonna get a text message from Pagel about how hilariously long this conversation is.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Allie mentions here that she has no family and hasn't really gotten down to relationships outside of hookups. Her parents have passed, and she is very much a strong, independent woman. She owns guns. She is trained in how to handle them. She takes self-defense classes, and she is, I would say, she has a very strong personality.
Yes.
Allie realizes that it's been a couple of days since seeing her current hookup, and she texts a screenshot of her favorite masked man to said hookup, asking if he would be interested, and he replies, like, "You're alive."
Yeah.
It's been 2 months, and I'm seeing somebody now, so I'm really not interested in any games. Which for Allie is only alarming because she didn't realize how long it had been. She
Yeah.
was not at all bothered by the fact that he was like, "No."
I can't relate to this.
Sure.
If I haven't had sex in 2 months, I know it,
You'd be crabby.
especially when I was single.
You would be fussy.
Yeah. And I'm not a nurse working
Yeah.
20-hour shifts, but
Yeah.
I definitely remember.
Now we meet Josh, who is Allie's old hookup, Tyler's roommate. So he and Tyler lived together. Tyler being the old hookup, Josh being our main male character. And they're playing video games when Tyler gets her text message and shows it to Josh, who starts to panic because the screenshot that she sent Tyler of the masked man is actually him. So,
Yeah.
Josh is a hacker, and he is paid an exorbitant amount of money in cybersecurity, protecting Fortune 500 companies from being hacked. His father is a notoriously well-known killer, and we learn here that his family has been the subject of documentaries and podcasts, and Josh has been keeping himself hidden, even going so far as to drop out of college and move to get away from the public scrutiny that he has experienced. And his mass social media channel is really the only safe way that he feels to interact with the world. Even when dating, he automatically blocks women he matches with if they are into true crime. Do you want to give a physical description of Josh?
Yes. Josh is sexy. Josh is very tall. He's 6'4". He has short, dark hair, tattoos. He's super, super ripped. Very, like, big, bulky guy. He has olive skin, dimples, and he's described as being very good looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sounds good looking.
Yeah, he does.
I almost feel like that would be too good looking for me.
I know, like, Allie comments on how, like, women just look at him because
Yeah.
he's so attractive, and that I think would be too much for me.
Yeah.
I like to have to work for a little bit.
One of the biggest issues that I have with this book is the fact that he looks like that and also has the personality that he does, because I just don't think that that's realistic.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of men who look like that man, and I can tell you right now, the personality that this man has does not match.
But his dad was a serial killer,
I get it.
and he's been on antipsychotic medications.
I get it.
So,
So
like,
that
Tyler describes
somehow,
him as really weird.
I know.
Oh, yeah, you don't see that.
No.
Mm.
Oh my God, no. The men that look like that take themselves so fucking seriously.
Well, and he has to. If he's this buff, he's working out.
He has to, but he
Yeah.
doesn't. We don't ever get that vibe.
No.
Not ever. He
No.
is an
He's just
absolute
naturally an Adonis.
yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, he describes meeting Allie one night after she and Tyler hooked up and basically being instantly obsessed with her. And this kind of text message propels him into a full-blown spiral. He finds her on his account and goes through all of her likes and her comments. And Allie is assertive. And I have a note here that says, I had to sit back a moment to find the best word here.
Yes.
I have screenshots of some of her comments.
Oh, yeah.
Just am going to read them. And these comments are all comments we've seen before.
Mhm.
But this book came out, a while ago.
Yeah.
So she comments on his videos things like, I'm on season 6 of this video. This has me feeling feral far too early in the morning. The way I would crawl to him. And then my favorite of them all is, this man is always coming onto my For You page and never on me, and that is a tragedy.
Yeah.
Allie.
I know.
And the thing is like, we're all thinking those things, but to be so assertive as to comment them publicly
Yeah.
is,
especially because her, like, username is
her name.
it's recognizable. Like, he's easily able to find her.
Yeah.
Which is also, I have a note too. He was obsessed with her instantly
Mhm.
and didn't look into her and didn't find out that she's obsessed with the masks.
Yeah.
It seems
Yeah.
unlikely. You'd think he'd give a little look.
I think that he is written as a very respectful person.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
feel like the initial obsession with her, he tried to kind of rein it in until
His
he
spouse.
realized that I do make a note later. I'll try not to repeat myself, but he makes a comment at one point where he's like, honestly, Allie is way more of a creep than I am. She's watched over 200 hours of my videos,
Yeah.
and I've only watched her for 40 hours.
Yes.
So I think that really just kind of egged him on, and
Yeah.
he saw a window and
Sure.
took it. But
When you say that he's respectful, I think that's kind of what I didn't love about him. He was big on consent,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we'll get into that. And I was just kind of like, I was expecting darker.
yeah.
A little disappointed.
Shoot,
Not gonna lie.
rom com,
I guess
giving rom com.
it is giving rom-com,
Yeah,
which is, I guess, rom-coms are like for the masses. So I guess it makes sense that this is a very beloved book.
sure. Yeah. The combination of comments and his imagining chasing her has him hard, and he starts to masturbate through an imaginated scenario where he breaks into Allie's house, shirtless and masked, and directs her to get on her knees, which in his fantasy she does right before sucking his dick, and he comes from the fantasy. But it emboldens him as well, and we spend the next several pages coming along with Josh as he meticulously breaks into Allie's house and makes friends with her cat.
I did like his like thought process of like just the fantasizing about Allie and
Mhm.
breaking her house to him being like, all right, I need to figure out how to break into her house without getting arrested.
Mhm. I was so fucking bored.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's planning
For
to
context,
stalk her.
for context, at this point where we're at right now, we're probably 50 pages in.
That's true.
We're 50 pages in, and I am, oh god, I'm like painfully fucking bored. They meticulously, you're so disappointed. I can see it all over your face. I'm so sorry. He meticulously talks about every single thing that he does to prepare. I bought a new pair of boots in a larger size. I put a cover over the boot so there would be no identifiable tread marks. I bought a special magnet. I have experience
True.
picking locks. It's like, oh my fucking, like we fucking get it. Like that was like the one thing that I will give to Haunting Adeline is that we did not have to learn every single thing that Zayd knows how to do. He
Yeah.
just did the fucking thing. And it made way more time for sex because these people don't have physical vaginal penetration V in the P sex until page 300.
I know.
It's insane.
I know.
I
There was a book that I get really worked up about, and I feel like that's going to be you for this book.
yeah.
You're pretty worked up.
The thing of it is like I'm going to tell you what it is that because I've been so busy and this is the
Yeah.
only material that I've gotten to read, I'm extra crabby about it.
I get that for
You
sure.
know, where it's like, come on.
I know.
This book was so highly recommended, and I understand I'm sitting across from somebody who enjoyed it a lot. I just was there. We're gonna get there soon. I can't wait, and we're gonna spend the most time talking about the scene that I got the most excited about. We're back with Allie, who is having a hell of a night at the hospital, and she gets a brief break and realizes that it's Thursday, which is when the faceless man, aka Josh, posts his new video, and she watches the video and is already turned on, like just thinking about him. She describes it being Pavlov's dog, and she notices in the video that the room decor looks similar to hers, but blows it off and goes back to work. So she just had this brief break to look at the video. And that night, she gets home to find his very distinct mask on her bed. And this is not I went to the Halloween shop and bought a Scream mask. This is he 3D printed his own design mask. And so she starts to freak out. And Josh has set up a camera in her room. And Allie, as we discussed, she's trained in self-defense. She takes security very seriously. She owns a gun that she keeps next to her bed. She does a sweep of her house and then takes a risk to message the faceless man to confirm if he was in her house. And he's freaking out because he thinks that maybe he misjudged her. And so he starts buying flowers to have delivered to her house. But I also feel like I'm a little bit of a bleeding heart for this guy because he really, really thinks that this sexual desire makes him a monster. And he is
Yeah.
constantly comparing himself to his dad, who was an actual monster. And again, if everyone involved is a consenting adult, play your sexy games. And
Yeah.
he really has a lot of conflicting emotions about this.
Yeah.
But he responds to her message, and then he sends her the second half of the video that he didn't post, which is him stroking himself in her room. And she busts out her vibrator.
Yeah. She is so wound up at that point, which makes me think, again, she's got to be using her vibrator all the time. How do you not realize
Yeah.
that it's been this long?
Yeah.
Because she even comments that the vibrator does not do it.
Yeah, there are some more inconsistencies I can't wait to talk about. He closes the laptop before seeing her orgasm. So she describes, just for context, when you're reading this book, we're not reading about her masturbating to her.
No.
She literally puts the vibrator inside her and he closes the laptop because he doesn't want to cross the boundaries. But again, we're like 100 pages into this book.
I know.
Like, this is all that's happened, and we are at minimum 100 pages in right now.
Yeah.
So I was really just kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, is this a smutty book or not? The storyline itself is not interesting enough for it to not be smuttier.
Yeah.
Either be an interesting storyline with no smut or minimal smut, or be fucking smutty. Just
Sure.
embrace the smuttiness and be tangled in tinsel. I don't know.
Do you think you would have enjoyed this more if it was more like Tangled in Tinsel,
Yes.
where there's just no, yeah.
Because there really isn't any plot line. There really isn't. Is there a plot line?
I feel like there is.
What is the plot line? That he stalks her. That's literally the whole
Well, he
plot.
stalks her, and then Brad
Well, yeah, but
tries to
again,
murder her.
that doesn't happen until 300 pages into a 450-page book.
I guess. Yeah, there's really no plot at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I have a note too earlier that they talk a lot about Allie at the hospital. I don't care.
Same.
I don't care about her night. I don't care about the new girl that she drove home.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of it.
Same.
And you're right. Because I pointed that out in Tangled and Tinsel, how it was just plot for the sake of plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what the author was trying to do in terms of establishing who Allie is as a person. It becomes important later. But I feel like we just spent so much unnecessary time on it. We get the running monologue in Allie's head while she's masturbating. So she is masturbating. I didn't even realize that she was still masturbating.
Yeah.
It's just a running monologue of all of the thoughts of her, which I have to say, never have I ever orgasmed while I'm thinking about my day.
Never.
She's fully processing not just her job, but also the impact that her job has on her need for more intense sex. And how many of the men that she's dated have been vanilla, and then she orgasms.
Yes.
So I'm
I
like,
could never.
What the
I'm actively picturing someone's face down there.
Yes. Yes. Like, what is happening? Anyways, she's torn between wanting the faceless man to break in again and calling the police. So in the end, she barricades herself in her room and she sleeps 10 straight hours.
Which is outrageous. I watch a scary movie and I'm light sleeping, hearing every little thing. A man broke into your home. You don't know how he got in.
Yeah.
She's a fucking idiot.
I know. And the thing is that she is not written like an idiot. I mean, in my mind, to your point, I think I was comparing it a little bit to Hunting Adeline.
Yeah.
And Adeline is like, I locked my door.
I know.
Like,
Adeline is a bit of an idiot.
yeah, and Allie definitely is not. Like I said, she takes, security very seriously, and it seemed a little off brand. So the next day, Allie is on a mission, and Josh continues his stalking of Allie, watching her through her laptop camera until she covers it with tape, and then calls Tyler and asks if his roommate, who is also Josh, will help her track down whoever is doing this to her. And he agrees. And Josh, overhearing this, jumps into overdrive to digitally cover his trail. And now that I know how this book ends, now that I know how he is exposed to her, I really have to go back to this was a wasted plot.
Yes.
This
Very
was
much.
absolutely, we spend so much time on Allie Googling whether or not a camera can be turned off and whether or not somebody can watch you digitally or remotely through your camera. It just is like, so much time was spent on this, and the way that he's exposed to her is ridiculous. So shortly after Allie calls Tyler, she starts receiving gifts from Josh. First flowers, which she redirects to a hospital, and then a home security system. And she realizes here that the faceless man is listening to her through her laptop. And he starts responding to her angry lamenting via DMs, including a video of him interacting positively with her cat, Fred, who generally doesn't like men. When she tells him not to feel special because cats are sociopaths and Fred likely just found his kindred spirit, he says, if he's a cat, does that make her a mouse? And she replies with, I'm a motherfucking wolf, before she closes her laptop and shuts off her microphone, which is, I really like that.
I did too.
She uses the camera finding system that he purposely sent to her so that she would find the camera that he had hidden into her room. And she uses it to find the camera that he planted. And he promises that he didn't use it to watch her change or masturbate. And she disconnects the camera and logs out of the social media app. And an important note here, and we kind of alluded to it already, is that Josh is not upset about this. He expected it.
Yeah.
He even says, I'm going to give her some time and space to be mad at me.
Yeah. But he has a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Saturday while at work, Allie can't resist checking for the faceless man's newest video. She realizes while watching it, it's for her. It's his usual locations, but the song choice is a man singing about forgiveness. And he has the one and only caption that he has ever had on a video, which is, when she's mad at you.
I did love that he does this. It's so unserious. Like, sir, you're stalking her. And then he does this.
Yeah.
Which I did think was really funny.
Yeah.
And it made me like him a lot.
Yeah. I like Josh a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I like him a lot. I like both of them.
I do too.
She decides to comment, like, you mean when she has good reason to be mad at you? And he has never interacted with any of the women in his comments before. And his videos are very popular. There are a lot of comments. And he likes her comment and then follows her, making her the only person that he does. He doesn't follow anybody else, just her.
I do think if I'm Allie, I'm not commenting on that video. I'd maybe send him a DM. But the fact that she commented, I'm like, you are asking for these women to threaten you.
Oh, God.
Which they do.
Yes.
They're pissed.
Yes, absolutely. It turns into full-blown chaos.
And like, you're currently being stalked.
Mhm.
So now you're going to put yourself out there for these angry women.
Mhm.
How are you not afraid?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, she messages him about the chaos that he created, and he tells her he won't apologize for publicly claiming her, which she likes a lot. And Nicole.
So do I. So do I. Please and thank you.
Yes. She realizes that he's also watching her on the hospital cameras while she's at work. And she tells him that she does not forgive him. And he says, tell me to stop, Allie. And she doesn't, when they are interrupted by several incoming victims of a mass shooting. 20 hours later, dead on her feet, thinking it would be smart to take an Uber home, she discovers that her car is burning. Nicole's face. And the faceless man is sitting in the driver's seat wearing his mask. So Josh has shown up to warm her car and drive her home with a gun and a knife for her to wield against him and snacks for her to eat after not eating all day.
What did you think of this scene?
This scene did not, no.
I also didn't, because he doesn't have his voice thing. So he's not talking. He's like writing it on his phone and showing her. I just think we could have done without it.
I agree.
I don't hate that he picked her up. That's fine because we get a fun scene. But
yeah, 100%. No, I hear you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just surprised that you have so many negative things to say about a book that you like so much.
Just some little silly things.
I am really grateful for this happening because this is where my favorite scene happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Allie accepts his invitation. She holds him at knife point and gunpoint while he drives her home. And he has very intentionally put on a GPS to her home so that she can see that he is not deviating from course and that he is in fact driving her home. And he's also incredibly turned on because Allie is like staring at him and he's hard. And Allie notices his erection and then she asks him if she can see it.
Yep.
Yes.
Which you loved. I knew
knew.
reading this scene, I knew you would love this scene.
No, you didn't.
Are you kidding
Did
me?
you know when I text you from the Denny's today?
I didn't know it was that scene. I did wonder.
So for context, I text Nicole and was like, does this book get any better? I'm so fucking bored. And Nicole was like, shoot.
Probably not.
Probably not. And then I continued my notes. I got to the scene and I sent her a text message that was like, oh my God, it's happening. I fucking loved this scene. So Allie asks him if he can see it. He is so thrilled. He thinks that he makes it up.
Yeah.
He gives her access and she uses the knife to lift his shirt up, saying, all this time you've been reassuring me I'm safe with you. Did you ever consider if you're safe with me?
I loved that.
Oh my God.
Good for you, Allie.
Oh. She asks if he will behave himself while she puts the knife down to open his pants. And she says, I won't do it if you don't promise to be a good boy. And in his mind, he says, praise king unlocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way that I loved this scene.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She proceeds to take his dick out, telling him, this isn't for you, which I also love.
That's where I was like, Amanda's going to love this.
Allie proceeds to give him toe curling head, and he loses focus and makes a wrong turn. And Nicole is just grinning from ear to ear at me because she knows that I just am eating this shit up. When he does, the GPS tells him to correct his course, and Allie stops giving him head, saying, bad boys don't get rewarded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Once he corrects his course, she continues until he comes in her mouth, and she swallows his cum and sucks his dick clean. And during all of this, she accidentally stabs him with the knife.
Yep.
Yep.
And then she blames him.
Yeah.
I was like, what did you do?
I do have a note about the way that she describes his dick as being so big that you can barely get two hands around it. And I said, Allie, babes, you're 5'8". You have big hands.
Yeah.
That's the size of that's the size of a bowl.
Yes.
Like a cereal bowl, ma'am. You would have to dislocate your jaw to suck that monster cock. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that was one of the inconsistencies that I did not like that. Like, I am fine with them being big.
Yeah.
I do.
Two hands.
Yes.
Even,
yes.
That's the size of a head.
Yes. Nicole's little tiny 5-foot hands it's still bigger than a Coke can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And the biggest that I've ever seen I thought it was an arm.
And that's still bigger than my arm.
Yes. And that was the biggest that I've ever seen. It was not the size of a soup bowl.
I can't get over that description.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
Look at my hands. If I'm barely able to put my hands together, look how big that is.
Yeah.
That's the size of your whole head. Nicole.
I know.
I just was like, I don't know who she thinks that she's fooling here.
Yeah. It didn't need to be that big. One hand not around it, sure.
Yes.
That's pretty small.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. But she almost like deep throats him. And I'm like, okay.
There's no,
ma'am.
There is no way.
I can't.
No.
Something doesn't add up here physically. They get home. She brings him inside where she gets him all stitched up as the nurse that she is. And she asks him to stay, but he doesn't. And instead breaks into her house later that morning to drop off breakfast and shovel her driveway.
Yeah. And all of that could have been avoided if we just had the voice box to start with.
Sure.
We could have moved the plot along a little further.
Well, yeah. And then we also get a story here about how she goes out and talks to her. She specifically says her black neighbors. I'm just like, they never come up. Her neighbors never come up again. There is absolutely no reason. And she does it multiple times in this book where she's like, he's a nice Middle Eastern man nurse, and she's a nice Latina woman and it's just
I
like,
didn't even notice, but I skim.
oh my God, I
I hate
fucking
that.
hate it. Like,
Yeah.
what was the point of you throwing it in there?
There is no
What was the
point.
point of you throwing it in there? I mean, those people are such minor characters in the story. I know that you didn't do it for inclusivity.
No.
If you wanted to do it for inclusivity, you would have made her Latina.
Yeah.
You would have made her Indian. You would have made her
Yes.
like, but you didn't. You just wanted to throw in all of the little fun characters that happen to be BIPOC people. I just,
I wish we had cameras
ugh.
because you're so funny.
I'm over it. I'm over it. She gets a text from Tyler that Josh is free in about half an hour, and she heads over there. And Allie immediately identifies him.
Yeah.
Immediately. She doesn't say anything to him. She tries to like surreptitiously get him, like corner him or catch him. At one point, she grabs his hands, knowing that she had just stitched up his hand the night before because he had literally been stabbed. And he does not flinch.
Mhm.
And then she sends him a text message thinking like, oh, his phone's going to go off and I'm going to catch him. But obviously he's smarter than that. He uses a burner phone and he's got some sort of AI system set up to respond to her. So she texts him while she's sitting in front of him and the AI responds. So she knows it, but she's trying to figure out how to prove it and she really can't. And that part I liked.
Sure.
They could have left out all of the other shit about Googling and all that shit and just done that. And I would have gotten a sense for how determined she was to identify him. So this is where we get their kind of cute dynamic. They play a game called Would You Rather, which my children play with me all the time. I'm well versed in this game.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, I enjoyed that part of the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed some of their banter, but again, I think it is odd how quickly they got there.
Yeah.
It doesn't track. Like the last time that she talked to him, they described their first interaction, their first and only interaction, where he doesn't even say a word to her. He basically like grunts at her and hides his face from her. And now they immediately go to playing Would You Rather pea stones or sweat pickle juice? And it's like, how did we get here? I don't know.
And because she knows, like, I mean, he thinks he like threw her off and she knows immediately. And his personality, like they've had this little banter going back and forth in the DMs.
So it only kind of reinforces.
Yes. Because she says after that, she's like, it is him. I know it's him.
Yeah. And she wants it to be him.
Yeah.
I mean, she really likes, the idea of it being him.
And I liked that because he is worried because he like noted as Josh, he's like, she's checking me out.
Mhm.
Am I a little jealous of myself? And she wants it to be him. And I would too.
Oh God. Yeah, absolutely. If he had all of these characteristics and he looked like that, yeah, I would want it to be him too.
Yeah.
Josh explains that it's going to take some time to track down the faceless man, and she leaves that day empty-handed. Allie gets home from work that night and decides to take matters into her own hands. She turns the camera on her computer. Nicole.
I love this. I would do this.
The second I read this scene, I was like, this is Nicole to a T. So she turns the camera on her computer, and once she knows that he's watching because he messages her and is like, "What are you doing?" And she strips down and she like crawls across the bed and then makes herself comfortable, and she grabs her largest vibrator and just like makes it a whole show of just getting in position and then teasing herself, and then she starts to ride the vibrator, and just as she does that, the faceless man breaks in.
Yeah. Like kicks the door down, breaks in. This scene was so hot. Yeah.
It's not something that I would read for.
No. Dave didn't get laid after this scene.
No, it
He
wasn't
did after later.
Oh, which one? The shower one?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky Dave. So he storms into her room, which is also something Nicole loves.
Yeah. Oh my God.
He takes her by the neck and he forces her to keep the vibrator inside of her while he holds her by her neck and her clit. But right before she comes, he takes the vibrator out of her, puts her on her back, directing her to hold her breasts together while he fucks them until he comes on her chest, and neck. And he then proceeds to edge her with the vibrator for what feels like an eternity, according to her, because we don't get any of the edging.
Yeah.
It literally goes from he gives her a white pearl necklace to he's been edging now for what feels like an hour and it's only about 10 minutes, which took all the fucking fun out of it for me. I love a good edging scene. So she finally gets to come and then she passes out, which I don't blame her. This is a very exhaustive scene. He makes her breakfast and notices that she puts a tracker in his bag while he's making breakfast, which,
She could not be more obvious.
oh my God. And
She's
it's
like,
like,
my door's open. He can't see me.
ma'am, you turned the camera on. You forgot to fucking turn it off. What is wrong with you?
God.
Anyway, he leaves. And after leaving, he drives a path that spells out LOL, which pisses Allie off,
Yeah.
who yells at him that the joke is on him because she took hair from his sweater at Josh's house and is going to do a DNA test using the blood from when she stitched him up. But he was prepared for that and had intentionally worn Tyler's sweater that day, knowing that she would be Trixie. I have another continuity issue here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm going to say? You're smiling at me like you do.
No.
He says in that scene that he wears a grossly oversized sweatshirt
Yeah.
to hide his dick because he is basically constantly hard whenever Hallie is around. What are you telling me? Is that Tyler is like 6'8"?
And he is not described as being
He
bulkier
is
than
not, no,
Josh.
Josh is described as being bigger than him. So
Yeah.
I don't know why
No.
you thought that you could just slip that in there, like, oh, look at how smart I am. Like, you sound dumb. So Allie has another eventful day at the hospital. First, treating and getting into an argument with a rapist who had gone free and been beaten up by his victim's brother, and then walked out of helping a woman who looked like her deceased mother, who had a similar injury to the one that killed her mother. Josh meets her at her house, and we learn that Allie feels responsible for her mom's death because she was the one driving in the accident that killed her. Josh is excellent at comforting her, and she tells him she wants to be bad. He manhandles her,
Yeah.
which Nicole also likes,
Yep.
throwing her on her bed, and then uses his knife to stab the corner of the bed, telling Allie he wants her to ride it. He blindfolds her and handcuffs her hands behind her back before going down on her while she's standing. And then he has her basically step back until she is perched above the handle of the knife and has her sit down on it, using his hands at the base as a protective method, while also simultaneously stimulating her clit. And then he has her ride the knife handle while he has her in her ass until she comes.
First of all, so hot.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Second, though, how big is this knife? Because he talks about having to like finger her a little bit to warm her up, but she's already so wet and ready for this knife.
Right.
I don't have, no knife that I have has a bigger base than I'm used to, or a bigger handle than I'm used to.
Sure.
How big is
Yeah.
this fucking knife? I
Yeah.
couldn't get past it.
Yeah, I did think about that too because in my head I was imagining like a steak knife.
No. But I was like, even my big, like, chop knife
Yeah.
still doesn't have an outrageous handle.
Yeah. And this
Like,
is a
do we have
woman.
machete?
Yes. And this is a woman who has a vibrator that is a replica of a famous porn star's cock, which I would assume is probably Girthmaster's.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, like you're used to giant dildos and this knife is going to get you off.
No. Also, probably would not. I could maybe just because I was like, could I get there?
Mm-hmm.
She's so turned on,
Mm-hmm.
and he is rubbing her clit, so maybe I could.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes when I am so turned on, it takes nothing.
No, I hear you. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I understand, but it was a very not sexy scene to me because I was imagining like a bread knife. So I just it really
it wasn't the gun from Haunting Adeline.
it was
which
not the gun from
is
Haunting
so
Adeline.
hot.
Yes, absolutely.
But I still, I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
I know.
Oh. She comes and then she starts crying. Which he is again great about. He comforts her and he he confesses that he was so turned on by watching this all happen that he came in his pants. The idea of a man being so turned on by me and that he doesn't even have to touch himself, that he comes in his pants is very sexy, but I haven't run into that since I was like very young.
This sent me down a rabbit hole too.
Sure.
I literally was like, okay, that didn't happen.
Yeah. My husband and I met at a restaurant,
Mhm.
and I don't know that he ever came in his pants, but he did used to have to walk around. He told me that he would be walking behind me and that he would have to move his like server book in front of his apron because he would just constantly, as soon as he would see me, just would get a hard on.
That's so hot.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an ego boost to say the least. So Allie has decided to take 2 weeks off at work, and Josh, of course, inputted her email and knows that she's done this, so he's also taken 2 weeks off. And he plans to spend that time with her masked.
Yeah.
Yes. That night, the couple is woken when the security system alarm starts going off, and it turns out that the rapist that Allie got into it with at the hospital has set his sights on Allie and has broken into her home with the supplies to rape and unalive her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with how hard Allie can apparently sleep, bitch was done for. If Josh wouldn't have stayed,
Yeah.
it'd be a different book.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, if he hadn't stayed, she probably would have shot him and been able to call the police.
That's true.
But given the circumstances, which we find out a little bit later, they couldn't call the police.
Right.
So they both subdue this man. His name is Brad. They subdue him and then they hog tie him. And they decide that they can't call the police. Josh doesn't explain to Allie at this point why not. They have a fun little flirty moment because they're both turned on from playing superhero and defending against this man. And then they decide that they are going to take him to drop him off at his last victim, his last known victim's family's house. So basically dropping him off with the brother and the
Yeah,
dad.
who's like an ex-Marine and all this. I'm like, they sound fucking hot.
Their whole theory here is that these badass men will take care of him for them. And when they arrive, they realize that he died in transport because Josh duct taped his nose and his mouth.
Which I also got real thinking about this. How?
I don't know.
How?
Especially somebody who we just spent 3 full chapters listening to him detail how he was going to break into her house.
Yeah. I would have liked it better because they like zip him up in like a bag. I would have liked it better if he just suffocated in the bag rather than you accidentally.
Mhm.
How?
Yeah. It's something.
Something.
Nicole liked this book a lot.
I really did. I liked it too that Allie is like, that death was too easy for him. She's like, can I stab him?
Yeah. Honestly, she's joking this entire time.
They are so unserious.
Yeah.
In these very serious situations. You have just killed a man.
Yeah.
She's joking.
Josh says something like, we're fucked. And she's like, weird time to proposition me, but maybe later or something like that. Like, she is very jokey about it. I also have some screenshots for other things that they say later. But yeah, it's the whole scene is, and I think one of the biggest issues that I had with the scene was how they were so just unbothered by this, but are so concerned about the way that the world would perceive their kinks.
Yeah.
Like, they would almost rather somebody find out that they murdered somebody than find out that they like to chase women through woods with a mask and a knife.
Yep.
And I just, like, that for me, I thought that that was very poignant, interesting. So, but they have to pivot.
Yep. But I liked this book. I really, really did. But it was just too neat of a bow. Because now Allie's uncle is in the mob and he's going to fix this for them.
Yeah.
I think I would have rather them scrambling to like hide. What book did we read? The Arrangement, where we're hiding a body and we're so scared that somebody's going to find out and somebody's going to see it and we have to go back and move it. and it's more, there's stakes.
Yeah.
Her mess gets cleaned up.
Yeah, they're basically so Allie starts to drive them, and while they're driving, he says, "Where are we going?" And Allie said, "Well, funny story. You remember how I said I didn't have any family? I actually do have family, and they are part of the mob." And it just so happened, not only are they part of the mob, but they're also cleaners for the mob. So they clean up crime scenes.
Just a nice little tidy bow.
Tiny little package, and she drives directly there. And Josh asks Allie if she wants to be his girlfriend, and Allie says yes. And the body is in the trunk of their car.
I
have
just
quotes.
thinking of this now as we're talking about this book.
Yeah.
I want a book where Allie becomes a serial killer.
I do too. That would be
Because
so much interesting.
because she's so unbothered with death. She's fine with the fact that he's dead. I want a book about Allie becoming a serial killer, having to hide it from Josh or something.
Yeah. Well, I have quotes here from this scene. One of them is when he asks her to be his girlfriend. He says, "Allie, do you want to be my girlfriend? The position comes with snacks and orgasms and maybe a little light stocking." Which I thought was really cute. And then the other one that I have is, she says, "Are you saying that the couple who commits homicides together should stay together?" And he says, "Too wordy. I prefer the couple who slays together stays together."
There are a lot of quotes in this book.
Yeah, they are very. He says at one point, "We're both going to hell." And she says, "Good, maybe we'll have another stab at him when we get there."
Yeah. They also, which I made a note about, Josh is so clearly a well-written cat dad.
Oh, yes.
And I had to write it down because it reminds me of Dave.
The full name?
Yes.
Yes.
And he's continually calling Fred their child.
Yeah.
He talks about visitation rights. And it's very much, Dave is constantly talking about our cats.
Yeah.
Constantly talking about the girls.
Yeah.
That is the most realistic part of this book. Dave was a dog fan when I met him.
Sure.
And now he has a picture of our cat Charlotte in his car.
Yeah.
It's like hanging from his mirror.
Oh my God, I love
that says
that.
cat dad.
Yeah.
And it did really make me like Josh because a cat dad can get it.
Really?
Yeah.
Noted.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, they're boyfriend and girlfriend now. When I was talking earlier about how he's revealed to her, she's like, "Well, he's dead." And then Josh like says something and she's like, "Well, aren't you glad that you tried to hide your identity from me, Josh?" Or something. Literally just calls him out and he's like, "Well, we killed somebody. I might as well just expose myself." And it just is so like,
It is.
oh God, why did you waste all of our time on it? I don't know. It's
Right.
just not for me. They get to Allie's uncle's house. Allie's uncle welcomes them with open arms until he realizes that she has a dead body in her trunk, at which point he calls in all of her cousins, and Allie has to go with the cousins to take the body off of the property, and Josh is required to stay with the cousins. And the cousins and Josh put together a plan that they are going to go over to Brad's house to wipe his computer because it likely will link him back to Allie. However, when they go to drive by the home, they discover that the home is crawling with police. So they drive by, they see the police, they have to pivot. He is messaging Allie. Allie is worried about his well-being with her family. And he makes arrangements for her to go and stay at his apartment. So he talks to Tyler. Tyler's, "Yep, absolutely." And she goes over to Tyler's house, and while she brings Fred with, and while she's there, she gets a phone call from the gal that she had doing the DNA testing at the hospital. And the gal is like, "Hey, it's not a match." She's like, "Haha, big surprise." And then she drops the bomb that the DNA matches that of the Ken doll killer, who is Josh's dad, or who is a notorious serial killer who went so far as to cook some of his victims. So
Yeah.
Allie confronts Tyler about it, and Tyler is basically like, "Josh had this really terrible psychiatrist when he was a kid. It gave him a complex. He's a really good guy." Tyler really stands up for him, and Tyler is not bothered at all by the fact that Josh and Allie are together. He's actually thrilled because Josh is such a fucking weirdo. He really feels like he needs a girlfriend.
In this part too, when Allie's like, sorry, I had a reason to freak out because he broke into my house and planted a camera before I even met him.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler laughs. He's like, I'm really glad that somebody else gets this now.
Well, I mean, honestly, can you imagine? So that morning you killed somebody, and then you find out that the man who broke into your house and stalked you and killed that person is also the child of a serial
Yeah.
killer. That is like mind altering.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And she's still pretty unbothered by everything.
Yeah.
So then Josh gets home and Tyler is like, hey, Allie knows about your dad. And Josh tells Allie that he has no regrets about stalking her.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, yeah, same.
So they get in the shower, and this is, as far as I can tell, a pretty decent shower sex scene. But he has her put her hands on the wall of the shower. She tells him, I don't want you to go easy on me. And he spreads her legs. And then he initially starts off by fingering her and kind of rubbing her clit. And then she starts to get all riled up. It's been, what, a full day, and they just murdered somebody. So she really needs to get off. He grabs her by her neck, and then he basically, just without preamble, he just kind of starts fucking her from behind. They do that. He asks her if she's on the pill. She says yes. And then he tells him not to pull out, which I fucking love. And then he praises her. He says things like, you should see how good you take me, and I can't wait to feel you come. It's very sexy. She's begging him, and she comes again. And then he flips her around, and he fucks her from the front now, pushed up against the wall of the shower. He asks her to give him another orgasm, and after she does, then he comes. And it's
hot. It's a hot, hot scene. I think it was okay. So it was originally written that this was my favorite scene, but then after the next scene, I cross it out, and I thought that the next scene is my favorite.
Okay.
They're kind of tight because reading this again, it's like, oh, when he tells her to put her hands on the wall.
Yeah. I know that does it for you.
It does.
It's giving Cassian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like when they use one another's names.
Yeah.
So she does say after the scene that she's going to need the morning after pill. And he's like, I thought you said you were on the pill. And she says, I don't trust my ovaries around you. So,
but then they kind of, which I do not like this. They both are like, oh no, but what if I did get pregnant? It wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my God, am I already picturing having a little mini Allie running around?
Yeah.
And that's not for me.
No.
But they're ready for it. After having sex one time. This is the first penetration they've had.
Yeah. And what page is that on?
322, I think.
Yeah. Now everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're almost done. You just thought it was getting going? Nope.
Nope, we're almost done.
This is almost the end of the book.
So they get back to Allie's place, and her cousin Junior is there. And Junior says that they need Josh to come with them again because they're going to go hack Brad's computer now. Allie decides she's going with Josh.
Mm-hmm.
But we get more of them being so not serious in a very serious situation.
Yeah.
They are breaking into somebody's house, possibly a rapist murderer's house. And they are all like wired up with the ear things. And they're making jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, they have a bet to see who can get somebody from the family to laugh first.
Yeah.
So they're constantly making jokes. I'm like,
yeah. Zayd would never.
Would never. There is a time and a place. I get that this is like a comedy book.
It's a rom-com.
But it was too unserious for me at a very serious time. But again, if we get a book about Allie being a serial killer, I'm over it.
Well, they get there and they realize that the house smells like a dead body.
And now a car pulls in the driveway. So the family's like, we gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is like, no, I have to wipe Allie from this computer. So they leave him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the car that pulled in is actually Brad's family. So they're trying to get into the house. Josh is able to escape through the window. He wipes the computer clean. And
And
then
then they trigger the alarm in the home in hopes of the police coming so that they will be able to find the bodies, because there is some concern that the family would find the bodies and not report it, since they've already bailed him out of trouble multiple times.
Yeah. So that's exactly what happens. The police come, they find the bodies. Josh and Allie have to run through the woods. They get to the meeting spot. It's fine. Everything works out great. They get back to Allie's house. They shower, and now they're sleeping. We have another sex scene.
Yeah. Allie wakes up.
Yeah.
So she was supposed to follow Josh's instructions on this mission, and she did not. So she wakes up and she is handcuffed to the bed, and he now has the mask with the modulated voice back on. So he is not being Josh here. He is being the masked man. And she says to herself, like, it's like she has to tell herself it's just Josh because she is fearful.
Yeah.
So, and the fear turns her on, it turns him on. And really the long and the short of it is that he fucks her at knife point.
Yep.
With the most wicked looking knife that she's ever seen before.
And there's a butt plug.
And yeah, he uses a vibrating butt plug to get her off, and they both come. And Nicole really likes this scene. He spanks.
I did really like this scene. I don't like to be spanked. Oh, gentle. He's not being gentle with her.
What? Nicole.
Gentle.
Oh my God. I thought everybody liked to be spanked.
No.
What?
No.
Oh my God. Now I feel like a deviant.
Flabbergasted.
I am actually flabbergasted. I can't believe you don't like to be spanked.
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay.
I do like a little bit of pain, but not, I guess not that. I don't know.
want you to spank my ass so hard that there is a permanent handprint bruise on my ass.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is, in this scene, Allie is being punished.
Yes.
So this is not like a cutesy scene. This is an aggressive scene for sure. And I think at the end of it, she is like really thrilled when he finally comes.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. She's ready.
She's ready. Yeah.
So Josh and Allie now, they have to go to dinner at Uncle Nico's as like the reward for them, for Nico helping them.
So the terms that they agreed to with Uncle Nico for his help on this is that Allie and Josh will come and have dinner with him once a month. So those are the terms that they had to abide by in order for them to get the family's help.
Yeah. So they get there. Nico tells them everything's fine. They got away with it. And then Nico pulls Josh aside and he's like, I don't trust you. And
I know who
your
dad is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He threatens him. And then Josh threatens Nico back. And he's like, I've been recording this whole conversation sent to my server. If anything happens to me, it's going to go out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have a truce.
Because apparently he's smart enough to have that all prepared, but not smart enough not to tape both the nose and the mouth. So it's fine.
Plot hole. And then the book is done. We have the epilogue where Josh is chasing Allie through the woods. He's wearing a mask. And if he catches her, he fucks her. She breaks free a few times. And then he finally catches her, fucks her. And then they both say, I love you when they come. And then Josh proposes and Allie says yes.
And for anybody wondering, that is the last that everything that we just recapped is the last 150 pages.
Yeah.
So it's a 450 page book. All of the things that happen, finding out that they have a dead person in their trunk, meeting the family, having sex 3 times, all of those things happen in the final 150 pages. So if you're really reading this book just for getting off on some of the craziness, you really could just skip to page 300 and start from there, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited for ratings.
All right. Well, we want to thank Pagel for her continued support on our social media. It is a volunteer job. So we are super duper grateful for her for that.
Would you say this is a smutty book or a book with smut?
I would say this is a book with smut. I would say that this is a smutty book disguised as a book with smut.
Yeah, because they really are constantly thinking and talking about sex. The whole book is about sex, but there's a lot of plot.
Yeah.
But Not necessary plot.
Yeah. So I think that we'll get into when we get into the ratings, but I really, again, I think that there really is no plot. There really is no story here. It, I think, would have been a very different story if they had opened early on with killing this person.
Yeah. So much more could have happened. Even when they're breaking into Brad's house, like so much goes wrong, but it's unnecessary. Like
Mhm.
the lights stay on because the generator, and then they fix that, but then the floodlights come on, but nobody sees it.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. The rest of this block is out of power, but nobody notices that the floodlights are on.
Yeah.
There could have been more. There could have been an accomplice. There could have,
Mhm.
I did want more space.
Yeah. Nicole liked this book, though.
I really did.
Yeah. So the about me for this author, Navessa Allen, she apparently was a aeronautical engineer. I have to kind of recap her biography because it's really long
Yeah.
and involved. She went from aeronautical engineer to romance author. She says, I'm a woman who loves all things romance, paranormal, historical, contemporary, or fantasy. I've got a book for you. And then on the bottom of the page, she says, she has these 4 things: hot coffee, first thing every day, Maui, Hawaii, bucket list trip, my family, most important, and Schitt's Creek, my favorite show. And then on her homepage, she also notes that she is going to be starting a podcast um, for her Patreon subscribers, where she will be offering audio versions of every chapter that's published.
That's cool.
So that's cool. It doesn't look like it's started yet. Other books by her include The Kings of Kearney, Scandal, The Lunatics, and Snowed In. So it doesn't look like she has any other series. It looks like it's just some standalone books. And
There
then,
is a book 2 coming out for this one.
ooh,
I think it's going to be kind of similar to Brutal Obsession, where you don't have to read them. They're not about the same thing. That's the gist I got.
sure.
I think it's called Caught Up.
Interesting.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to get into ratings?
Spice level.
All right, spice level, I'm going to go with graphic level.
Okay.
That's kind of what I've been doing. We are
Yeah.
going to talk about it. We haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
If I'm going strictly off of graphic for this book, I would probably give this book 4.
Yeah.
It's not overly graphic. There are multiple sex scenes that we have where we don't even get any of the sex scene. It's just like they're having sex while there's like an internal monologue happening.
Right.
Like even in like some of these scenes where they're having actual sex, a lot of what I was reading was like her describing how like mind blowing it was, but not
Yeah.
her actually describing the actual activity itself.
Yeah.
So it just, I think it gets a little bit of a higher rating because some of the activities are pretty advanced.
Yeah.
So
It too, I also rated it. I rated it a 5 because, like I said, the whole book is talking about sex. Spice frequency.
Spice frequency, I'm going to give it a 3.
I also gave it a 3. In 350 pages, 400 pages, there are 5 scenes.
Yeah. And most of the book is just either self masturbation or like basically masturbation of one another. So
Pros.
pros, I would give this book probably a 5.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think it's really, really well written. I think that she is a great writer. I didn't see a lot of inconsistencies in the way that she wrote. I liked the way that she described things. I just wish that she had been describing different things.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a well-written book, and I can appreciate that and respect that. So I would give it a 5.
Storyline.
I'm going to give it a 1.
Really?
Yeah, it's a fucking terrible story.
I disagree. I think it is it's a different type of story that we've seen.
Sure.
Because it's based off of what is big on TikTok. These masked men, the biker men, and these, I don't know if you've read any of those comments, but these women are aggressive.
I know, but I think that the story itself is basically just like riding the coattails of the pre-existing fan base for that. I don't think that there's any, again, if we had started this book with them murdering somebody, then we would be having a very different conversation.
Yeah.
Her family, that whole thing, very, very interesting. I would have loved to delve deeper into that.
Yeah.
But instead, we spent the first 300 pages experiencing her as a nurse, which like I didn't go into nursing for a reason.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
not.
and like her cousin Greg also works at the hospital, which
Mm,
could have been a super interesting
yeah,
plot.
yeah, absolutely. And just for like, just so that anybody listening to this who is a nurse doesn't get hurt about it, I have such a massive amount of respect for nurses.
Yeah.
An incredible, there's a reason that I did not go into nursing. I do not have
100%.
the fortitude for it. So, but again, I just don't want to read about, because we weren't even reading about the cases. We were
Mhm.
reading about her on her break at work or her talking to her coworkers at work,
Yeah.
which again, it just felt like page filler.
Yeah. Overall.
Overall, I'm going to give this book a 2.
Really? I did not think you'd go that low.
Really?
I gave it a 4.
Oh, ma'am. Okay.
Mhm. I did really like it. I did talking to you did make me see things that I
Oh,
hadn't,
no.
but I'm sticking with my original
Yeah.
ratings.
Yeah.
This is still a book I recommend to people. I like it. I've read it twice now.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have hit differently if you read it first and then read it again and took your notes?
No, when I tell you, I mean, I was bored.
Yeah.
I was so fucking bored. I just feel like there is a million other books out there that we've read that jump right. The Never King, she gets kidnapped within the first 20 pages of that
Yeah.
book. She has sex in the first page and then gets kidnapped within the first 20 pages.
Yeah.
Praise, almost immediately we open up with them meeting each other and starting to feel each other out, and her, the main character, like diving into the world of kink. And like this, there is oh god, I was so fucking bored.
Yeah.
I just was bored. And I, like, again, like I said it earlier, I would have preferred if you were going to take this route through the storyline. Haunting Adeline was sexier than this.
Yeah.
Haunting Adeline jumped almost immediately into their first scene together.
Yeah.
And this book, it really didn't get into it until probably 200 pages in, when he finally like takes her home. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like shit or get off the pot. You can either be a smutty book with no plot, or you can be a plot filled, well written book with smut.
Yeah.
But
So you're not recommending this book to anybody?
no. If somebody was like, I'm looking for a dark book, I would recommend Haunting Adeline.
Yeah, I
Or
really
even Brutal Obsession,
Yeah,
for that matter, because
agree.
Brutal Obsession, he does some mild stalking there as well.
Mhm.
And I just, again, I think the whole thing was very convenient. Of course, he calls himself he says at one point that there's only 3 other hackers in the world who could possibly find him, because he's like
Mhm.
the 4th best hacker in the whole world. And it's
Yeah.
like,
But he
of
didn't know
fucking
about her mob
course.
family.
Yeah.
He didn't know that she was on birth control.
Right.
He didn't know quite a bit about her.
Yeah. I just think the whole thing was just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
just feel like it wasn't the story itself was just not well thought out.
Sure.
It was really just riding the coattails of the fandom that already exists for this particular kink. And I think I truly think that somebody else could do this book better.
Sure.
Could you imagine if H.D. Carlton had wrote this book?
It would have been more what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the idea of I love the idea of a fan of this fandom meeting one of these people in real life.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. But I just don't think that. Ugh, I'm so sorry, Navessa Allen. Please don't be mad at me.
Well, if you want to make up your own mind about this book, it is super accessible. You can get it Target, Amazon. You can buy it for Kindle. It's not on Kindle Unlimited though. It is on audiobook, and this is one of the number one recommended books that people say you should listen to on an audiobook versus
Oh.
reading it.
Interesting. I wonder if I had listened to it, if I would have liked it
I
more.
doubt it. I really doubt it.
I want to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sad are you that I didn't like it?
Probably an 8,
Oh my god.
just
so
because I
sorry.
thought you were going to,
I did
and it
too.
really but I had read it, and I still thought you were gonna like it. So it
Sure.
really makes me question how well I know you, which is devastating.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Oh my god, look at me being an enigma.
Right?
Wow.
This is how you feel
How
all the
the
time.
tables have turned.
All right.
All right. Well, find us on social media. We are on TikTok and Instagram at BooksLet'sPod, and we are online at booksletspodcast.com. There's also a link tree there to our other socials, including YouTube and Facebook. And we would, again, I'm not above begging. We would so appreciate a follow. And we would also love if you would comment on our posts with things that you would like for us to do, because Nicole is in charge of finding the material, and poor Nicole. She is completely overwhelmed with
It's
narrowing it down.
such a chaotic
Yeah,
community.
it is. There's so many different, it's the whole premise of our theme is we're like kids in a candy shop, and it's like, where do we start? So we'd love recommendations. So feel free to reach out. I'm Amanda,
I'm Nicole.
and we are Bookslets. We'll see you next week. Bye.